Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're ditching the comfort of our homes and dropping right into the incredibly dense, heavy humidity of the Amazon rainforest. And we aren't just taking a quick tour here. No, we are stepping right into the scales of one of the world's most absolutely formidable apex predators. Okay, let's dive into this. Because survival out here, it is definitely not a given. It's earned. It takes blood, stealth, and constant adaptation. For the rest of this explainer, I really want you to imagine that you are the anaconda. We're going to look at exactly what it takes for you to survive, from your very first breath to your final days in the murky depths of the river. It's a seriously high-stakes, ruthless existence, and the odds? Well, they're entirely stacked against you right from minute one. Think about a typical human birth for a second. It's all about warmth, love, immediate protection, right? But your birth? Completely different story. You slip into life from the comfort of your mother's body directly into the harsh, unforgiving jungle. And your mom? She actually leaves you the exact moment she pushes you out. In fact, for a giant anaconda, there's honestly no real difference between giving birth and, well, pooping. She literally just pushes you out and leaves. So suddenly, you're entirely alone, you're only a couple of feet long, and your heart is just racing because you are terrifyingly vulnerable in a world that really doesn't care that you just got here. And the reason you need to be so nervous is literally circling right above you and swimming just below you. At this tiny size, sure, you're incredibly cute, but to the rest of the jungle, you're just an irresistible little snack. You've got jaguars roaming the banks, caimans patrolling the waters, large birds circling up above, and yes, even older, larger anacondas. They all see you as a super quick, easy meal. Your one and only saving grace right now is the murky brown current of the river. You have got to learn to slip unnoticed beneath that surface immediately, or honestly, your life ends on day one. Now, what's really interesting about this is how nature actually equips you to handle that terrifying vulnerability. Look closely at the pattern of your skin. This beautifully complex mix of green and brown, it acts as nature's perfect invisibility cloak. As you slink through the murky water or rest quietly in the dense underbrush, nobody can see you coming. You are practically invisible. And this camouflage is absolutely your first real advantage in this wild place. It lets you hide from the big monsters while you just wait for some tiny passing fish to make a fatal mistake. As the months roll by, you start to figure things out. Survival here is all about getting big, getting strong, and getting sneaky. And as you grow, your diet gets a pretty massive upgrade. You start out basically freezing in the current, just letting the water bring tiny fish and frogs right into your open jaws. But as you hit that juvenile phase, small frogs just aren't going to cut it anymore. Your senses sharpen, your muscles thicken up, and soon enough, you're setting your sights on capybaras, the world's largest rodents. And eventually, you'll be looking at taking down deer and wild pigs. You are climbing that food chain, and you're climbing it fast. But growth requires testing your limits. So imagine this. You're slithering just below the surface, and you spot a juvenile caiman basking right on the riverbank. Okay, it's not a massive monster, but it's still got armor, and it definitely has teeth. This is a risky move. Do you go for it? You kind of have to weigh your options here. This could be your very first big test as a true hunter. So you decide to risk it. You slink into the water, sliding gently toward the caiman with the absolute grace of a shadow. Your muscles coil up tightly, completely ready to unleash all that power. Boom! You strike with just shocking lightning speed. Your jaws clamp down, your coils wrap tightly around that armored body, and you squeeze. And suddenly you realize, hey, that wasn't actually as tough as you thought. This right here is your first major taste of success as a true apex predator. You aren't just surviving out here anymore. You are dominating. But hey, let's not get cocky just yet. Not every day is a win, right? Remember that time you tried to take down a really feisty capybara, and instead of a quick, easy meal, you ended up being dragged halfway across the river before the thing outsmarted you and completely escaped? Yeah, definitely not your finest moment. It's a gritty, pretty humbling reminder from the jungle that while you are definitely getting bigger, you're still not invincible. Mistakes happen, but hey, luckily no one was around to see that humiliating little ride. So the crucial point is reaching this magical number, 15. Because once you surpass 15 feet in length, literally everything changes. You are no longer just some juvenile trying to scrape by. You are now pure, unadulterated muscle, a true force to be reckoned with. You command respect and honestly a very healthy dose of fear from almost every single creature in the territory. You've officially graduated to the big leagues. Let's move on and see how this builds. With your new, massive size, your priorities as an adult really start to shift. Your pacing changes. You aren't nervously darting around the riverbanks anymore. Now you move deliberately. The jungle is super crowded, and you need a place to just call your own. So you slowly slither through the dense underbrush, exploring every little corner until you locate a quiet, completely secluded stretch of river hidden beneath a really thick canopy of trees. It is absolutely perfect. You mark the area with your scent, and that's it. This is your kingdom now. And once you've established your kingdom, those deep instincts shift again. Now it's not just about your own day-to-day survival, it's about your legacy. Mating season arrives, and you follow a scent trail until you find a partner. And what follows? It isn't violent or rushed at all. It's actually a slow, winding, totally mesmerizing courtship dance. For hours, the two of you coil around each other in the water, just moving together in this beautiful, deliberate spiral until the deed is done, successfully ensuring your genes are going to survive for another generation. And this brilliantly illustrates just how staggering the uncompromising scale of that legacy really is. Several months later, the female gives birth to live young, but she doesn't just have 1 or 2 babies. No way. She pushes out between 20 to 40 baby anacondas all at once. And exactly like what happened to you all those years ago, the job is instantly done. The mother leaves. She never sees her offspring again, knowing full well that most of those 40 tiny snakes won't even survive their very first year. The brutal, unforgiving cycle of the Amazon completely resets itself. But what about you? The years just keep passing by, and slowly, things start to change. That youthful energy that once fueled your lightning-fast strikes, it begins to fade. Your massive body, pure muscle as it is, really starts to feel the heavy wear and tear of a lifetime spent hunting, squeezing, and just surviving. You're still incredibly strong, there's absolutely no doubt about that, but you just aren't as fast as you once were. You find yourself needing to be way more strategic, constantly conserving your precious energy. So one day, you find yourself resting, completely submerged in the cool waters, and you spot a capybara casually grazing right at the water's edge. Now, normally, an adult of your massive size wouldn't even bother with a meal quite this small. But today, you're feeling a bit nostalgic. It's been a while since you took one of these guys down. You lie completely still, letting it inch closer, entirely oblivious to you. Then, in a flash, you strike. Your coils wrap around it, and the whole thing is over in moments. It's a super easy meal. You've clearly still got it. But as you swallow, you kind of realize the thrill just isn't quite the same. You're tired. Then comes the day that truly tests your aging reality. You're stalking near the water's edge, and a young, agile deer approaches to take a drink. Your old instincts kick right in. You coil up those massive, heavy muscles, getting ready for the explosive strike that has kept you alive for all these years. The tension is really building here. Do you still have that raw, shocking speed? You lunge. But something goes terribly, terribly wrong. The deer senses you at the very last fraction of a second and just bolts. You try to adjust, you try to chase, but your body simply refuses to move fast enough. You completely miss. The deer escapes into the brush. And that is your first failed hunt in a very, very long time. As he slides slowly back into the water, this heavy, crushing realization sets in. You can feel the exhaustion deep down in your bones. The weight of the years has finally, inevitably, caught up with you. And that brings us to a beautifully somber truth highlighted in our source material. Most anacondas don't die in battle. Eventually, the jungle takes them back. It's such a quiet, humbling reality. You don't go down in some fiery, epic clash of predators. You simply grow too slow, too heavy, and too tired to maintain the absolutely brutal pace that the Amazon demands. The very environment that birthed you in the mud slowly and inevitably reclaims you. And that leaves us with this final thought to really ponder. In an uncompromising ecosystem like the Amazon, a jungle that plays no favorites, gives exactly 0 second chances, and eventually reclaims absolutely every single creature it creates, what does survival really mean? You started out as a vulnerable speck in the mud, you grew into an absolutely terrifying apex predator, only to eventually return right back to the earth. It really makes you wonder, in the grand, relentless cycle of nature, what legacy do any of us truly leave behind? Thank you so much for exploring with me today, and keep asking questions.